Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital. Now before I begin, be sure to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It is said that the last great bustard was shot in 1832 on Ollie Burkes' farm. Today, Ollie plans to rectify this crime. At the end of this video, we'll find out how Ollie and others plan to create a wildlife corridor 3 times the size of New York City in one of the least wild countries on Earth. But first, if you are a landowner or buyer, you may want to consider rewilding a portion of your land. So in today's video, we have the top things you should know. Number 1, what is rewilding? Rewilding is the act of returning a natural ecosystem to a disrupted area in a way that is self-regulating, self-sustaining, and stable. Number 2, where is rewilding appropriate? Rewilding is necessary and appropriate wherever an ecosystem is out of balance. If natural lands aren't being protected, connectivity has been compromised, or biodiversity has been threatened or diminished, then rewilding can be implemented. Number 3, how do you begin a rewilding project on your land? The basic starting steps are as follows. Identify core wild areas or potentially wild areas that can be restored. Determine what habitats and species are present in these areas and assess the general health of the ecosystem. Understand the history, ownership, and politics of land. Think about the human landscape in the nearby vicinity and whether legal protection will be necessary to achieve rewilding. In some instances, benign neglect is sufficient to allow nature to come back, but in others, legal protection will be required. Number 4. If you do need to go about actively rewilding an area, there are 3 C's you should keep in mind. First is cores, or the core habitat of a particular species. When you focus on cores during rewilding, you support access to resources for the targeted species and reduce human activities that threaten these resources. 2. Corridors. A corridor creates connectivity between restored core areas that were once part of the same landscape but have been separated by human activity. Doing this allows different populations to migrate, interact, and breed, which increases biodiversity. And carnivores. This refers to the reintroduction of a keystone species. Rewilding often, but not always, emphasizes animals high up in the food chain, such as apex predators. The idea being that these larger animals regulate ecosystems due to their interactions with other species. This, as you may imagine, is often the most controversial part of rewilding. But though we often think of bears and wolves when we think of carnivores, these can also include smaller species like the fisher cat. Number 5, why would you go about rewilding? What are its benefits? At a high level, rewilding promises to restore some of our lost biodiversity. Rewilding, unlike other kinds of conservation, also focuses on self-sustaining systems. The idea being that humans will not remain as active managers once an area has recovered. In this way, theoretically, it will cost less time and effort to maintain the ecosystem once it has been established. Rewilding also fights climate change by allowing us to restore native vegetation and regenerate soil. Both soil and plant matter sequester large amounts of carbon and play a pivotal role in a country's decarbonization plan. And less extinction. When species of plants and animals are reintroduced, they are protected from extinction and have a greater chance of survival. And number 6, if you decide to take on a rewilding project, here are a few simple do's and don'ts. Do reconnect with nature. Despite what you may think, it is not about excluding people from the process or the environment. And also do think about the future. While rewilding intends to restore the environment, it is not about rewinding the clock. On the flip side, don't always start with top predators. Although predators are a key component of rewilding, there are many circumstances where focusing on the apex predator will lead you to lose focus on all the other parts of the ecosystem that need to be restored as well. Which leads us to the second don't. Don't alienate local communities. Rewilding can make some communities anxious because it can be seen as jeopardizing their land, livestock, and way of life. Be sure to consider how rewilding will impact people who are already living in the community and using the land. And remember that these projects should not be top-down. They should come from the community itself. And with that, let's return to Ollie Burkes' farm. Ollie is the current owner of Little Massingham, a 2,500-acre estate in East Anglia, England. The land has been in his family since the 1800s, and when it was first purchased, it was once a lovely wilderness, characterized, at least in part, by vast ranges of heath. Until, that is, the crippling food shortages brought on by World War II found farmers across Great Britain digging up heaths and open space around the country. This proliferation of cropland helped feed the nation during a time of crisis, but once that crisis was over, the heath did not return. Today, Britain is one of the world's most nature-depleted countries, with nearly half of all native species moving towards extinction. But Burkes, along with a number of other landowners, communities, and government officials, is trying to change that, creating projects like the Wild East Initiative that invites everyone to return 20% of their land back to nature. Burkes has already done so, not only returning the heath to large portions of his estate, but wild ponies, pigs, and goats, as well as partridges, and hopefully, great bustards. Yet, lest you think rewilding is limited to large ranches or aristocratic estates, many homeowners and small landowners are rewilding as well. For rewilding can be as simple as replacing some of your lawn with native wildflowers and grasses. And if you do so, you'll be rewarded with cardinals, bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. So what do you think? Do you want to join the movement? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down listings at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.